Well, Kendrick won 5 Grammys for Not Like Us, more than any rapper has ever won in a single night. Now, he doesn't have the most Grammys of any rapper. I think like Jay-Z and Kanye still has more Grammys than him, but he sweeped.
And I'm going to be real, not to say Kendrick didn't earn every last one of those. But I really believe, walk with me, Vlad. I really believe that the Drake factor and the things he's doing is not hurting Kendrick, it's hurting itself, it's elevating Kendrick. Walk with me. And now it pushes Kendrick even more. So, I don't know where we going from here. Kendrick ain't gonna stop. We got a stadium tour coming up, right?
Yeah.
It ain't gonna stop. The bleed ain't gonna stop. It'll be over a year and something.
Yeah, look, Drake called it. Kendrick just opened his mouth. Someone go hand him a Grammy right now. He opened his mouth and he got 5 Grammys.
Now when it comes to Kendrick Lamar, the timing couldn't be more wild. With Ice Spice's man-flopping, Young Thug copping charges, and the whole weak side of hip-hop tripping over themselves like clowns, Kendrick just pulled the ultimate checkmate. He didn't have to beg for attention or chase cheap headlines. Instead, he let the chaos speak for itself while he stood tall, untouched, and unbothered. Kendrick has officially been crowned the first rapper to have a walking cupcake make a whole concept album about him. And the fact that he didn't even flinch shows just how much weight his name holds. Something major is brewing, and insiders are already whispering that this next move could flip the entire rap game upside down. Every crash out trying to drag him down is only adding fuel to his comeback, and trust me, the fire is about to be unstoppable. While the rest of the rap world looks like it's sinking into a pit of messy rants, internet rats, and self-destruction, Kendrick is outside again. But this time, on a higher level. He's not just winning, he's rewriting the playbook on how to win. And the craziest part, the more the industry keeps embarrassing itself, the more he shines as the last man standing in a game filled with losers and illusions. If you're rocking with Kendrick, get ready. Because 2025 just proved who's really built for this. And 2026 might be the year the trash finally gets swept out for good. Out of all the noise, there's only one guy who's had things rocking for the right reasons. Kendrick Lamar. He's the very reason these fall-offs even started happening in the first place. And now he's sitting back somewhere with a smile, watching the empire of fake rappers collapse. One by one, the so-called major players have revealed their cards, and the truth is brutal. Everything they claimed to stand for, everything they rapped about with so much fake passion was nothing but fiction. Exposed. Meanwhile, Kendrick Lamar stands as the exact opposite. While these grown men act like babies, crying about not getting features, whining on live streams, and beefing over nonsense, Kendrick has never looked stronger. He's positioned as a real beacon of greatness, a symbol of what rap can be when it isn't drowning in lies, desperation, and clout chasing. And let's be real, the Ice Spice man's still doing whatever it is he's doing. Nobody even knows what to classify that circus as anymore. Instead of chasing drama, Kendrick has come back outside and delivered a message the whole world can hear. And he did it in the slickest way possible. Forget messy Twitter rants, he rolled out a major campaign with Gatorade. That's right, while others are fighting over crumbs, Kendrick is aligning himself with billion-dollar brands, locking in with sports culture right as the NFL kicks off, the NBA season builds up, and the WNBA playoffs heat up. Talk about timing. This isn't just a win, it's a power move on a global stage. Kendrick Lamar just leveled up into a club most rappers could never even dream of entering. The kind of club that was once reserved only for elite athletes. And this isn't some quick cameo where he pops up for a second and disappears. No, Kendrick delivered an entire speech. That's major, because this is the most we've actually heard him speak all year. And it came with purpose, precision, and power. Instead of running back an old gimmick track, Gatorade swapped Peekaboo for Kendrick's Hey Now from GNX, making his voice the centerpiece of their campaign. That's no accident. This is the exact moment hip-hop has been begging for. While every crash out keeps embarrassing themselves with rants and fake flexes, Kendrick steps up to the podium like a statesman of the culture and drops words that hit harder than a diss track. His first line, "How much sweat are you willing to lose?" That question alone silenced the noise. And then he doubled down. Kendrick explained that when you're willing to put in the work, that's when you can surpass any hype, inspire generation after generation, and compete against anything. To close it out, he circled back with the same piercing challenge. So how much are you willing to lose? The message was clear. Only then can you measure how much you're truly ready to win. This isn't rap beef, this is leadership. Kendrick just positioned himself alongside Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Cooper Flagg, and Caitlin Clark, names that stand for legacy, not just headlines. And unlike his rivals who talk but never walk, Kendrick has lived this truth, proving why he keeps winning while the rest of the game keeps collapsing. When you really compare the mindsets in the game right now, Kendrick Lamar looks way more like the athletes chasing GOAT status than these rappers chasing titles like Rat or Pinocchio. Think about that. While NFL and NBA stars grind every single day to etch their names into history, half of hip-hop's so-called elite are out here exposing themselves as soft as tissue paper. Kendrick's words about sacrifice, discipline, and inspiring generations aren't just empty slogans. They're hitting harder than any diss track because they highlight the exact thing missing in rap today: work ethic. He's showing that if you're not willing to lose sleep, lose comfort, and give up excuses, then you don't even deserve to talk about winning. Every rapper still crying for clout needs to hear this message loud and clear, because they might actually improve if they stopped chasing trends and started chasing growth. And let's not ignore the slick timing here. Kendrick's Gatorade collabs keep dropping like bombs right when the noise in rap is at its loudest. The last time one of these campaigns went live, Joey and Drake were busy yapping at him, and now here comes Kendrick, saying more with one calm ad than they did with endless back and forths. It's poetic, it's strategic, and it's savage all at once. This couldn't have dropped at a better time. While his rivals play the victim, Kendrick stays disciplined, keeps his legacy sharp, and makes the culture look at him like the only adult left in the room. And let's talk about timing, because this is where it gets crazy. While Drake plays Martin Scorsese in his mansion and Young Thug proves he might be better at acting than rapping, Kendrick Lamar is out here stacking real trophies. Not just any trophies, he walked away with multiple Emmys for his jaw-dropping Super Bowl halftime performance, and on the very same night, he scooped up VMAs for Not Like Us. The precision of that timing makes the whole thing feel legendary, like the universe itself lined it up just for him. But here's where it gets even wilder. The Emmys aren't just another notch on his belt, they put him in rare company. Kendrick Lamar is now only the third person in history, yes, history, to hold multiple Emmys, multiple Grammys, and a Pulitzer Prize. That's a trifecta so exclusive, most artists couldn't even dream it, let alone reach it. He's playing in a league above music, above hip-hop. This is cultural dominance stamped in gold. Meanwhile, his rivals and their fans are scrambling for excuses. The Ice Spice Man stans and OVO diehards are already throwing on their academics-made tinfoil hats, screaming about how the industry set it up this way. But let's keep it real. You don't win Pulitzers, Grammys, VMAs, and Emmys because somebody gave you a pass. You win them because your work is undeniable, your art is untouchable, and your legacy is unstoppable. Kendrick isn't just competing with rappers anymore, he's competing with history itself, and the scoreboard shows he's winning every round. And here's the real difference. Kendrick Lamar is winning because he actually stands on something most rappers today couldn't even fathom. That's why he's earned the right to sit next to the biggest rising star in basketball, the number one pick of the NBA draft, and two of the most powerful names in all of pro football. He's in conversations rappers don't even get invited to, because he's proving himself as an icon, not just an entertainer. When you step back and look at the bigger picture, it's insane. As Kendrick keeps climbing higher, the rest of rap looks like a demolition derby. Crash outs, cancellations, humiliations left and right. Just watching him rise while others fall is an accomplishment in itself. And beyond any rivalries, beyond the petty beefs, Kendrick is stacking Emmys next to his Grammys and Pulitzer Prize, like it's just another Tuesday. That kind of resume doesn't happen by accident. It's the result of discipline, vision, and a career built on consistency, not chaos. But here's where things get even juicier. The rumor mill in the rap world is heating up, and all signs are pointing towards something massive. Whispers are spreading that Kendrick Lamar could be dropping very soon, and it's not just fan speculation either. Devin Malik, a TDE insider who's worked closely with names like Doechii and Schoolboy Q, stirred the pot with a cryptic social media post that sent fans spiraling. He's not just anybody. Malik was the first to confirm the GNX rollout last year, which turned out to be 100% legit. So now, with Kendrick back in the spotlight, Emmys in hand, rivals in shambles, and his voice stamped all over Gatorade campaigns, the stage is set for something explosive. If the rumors are true, this isn't just going to be another album. This could be the cultural earthquake that flips the entire rap game on its head in 2025. Here's the thing. Everybody needs to stay ready, because Kendrick Lamar could spin the block at any moment and come back with something massive. The energy around him right now feels like he's just waiting for the perfect second to strike, and when he does, it'll be game over. But even if nothing drops tomorrow, the fact that Kendrick and TDE are locked in, working and moving with silence is proof that the storm is already forming behind the scenes. Meanwhile, look at the chaos on the other side. Drake just went full bizarre mode, stretching himself into weirder and weirder territory just to take shots at Kendrick on an album he's basically dedicated to him. Let's be real. That whole Ice Spice Pins White Man project is nothing but a Kendrick Lamar obsession record. It's not homage. It's not clever. It's an unhealthy fixation dressed up as music. And then you've got Young Thug, that infamous phone call. Yeah, even after all the apologies he's thrown out, Thug never took back what he said about Kendrick. He stood on it, and that's exactly why the fallout still stings to this day. But here's the wild part. Word is, Kendrick knew about that conversation long before it ever hit the public. He already had the whole situation mapped out, from the sneak disses to the weak responses, like he was 3 moves ahead on a chessboard. What this shows is simple. While the rest of the rap game is scrambling, Kendrick is calculating. He's been aware, he's been patient, and he's been waiting for the exact moment to flip the narrative right back in his favor. And if that next move happens to be an album, every rival in his path better be nervous, because it won't just be a drop, it'll be a demolition. And here's where it cuts even deeper. Kendrick must have known all along that Young Thug was disrespecting his own cousin, Baby Keem, while at the same time showing Drake endless love and support, no matter how much of a hypocrite it made him look. That's the wild contradiction, siding with Drake while clowning your own family, and it exposed Thug in a way that can't be taken back. Kendrick clearly clocked it, and instead of lashing out in the moment, he let the music do the talking. That's the thing about Kendrick Lamar. He hides the keys to the whole story inside his records, and only the sharpest ears catch it right away. The rest of us have to play catch up. And when you really sit with it, you realize Kendrick had already addressed this entire beef almost a year ago inside his blockbuster, year-defining 2024 album GNX. He left the blueprint there like a master novelist, weaving the warnings into verses while the industry was too distracted to notice. GNX wasn't just another rap album. It was a warning shot to the entire culture, one that's only growing more prophetic as time passes. Back then, fans thought he was just dissing Drake and calling out the obvious targets. But now it's clear. He laced in subtle shots at 50 Cent, Puff, and even sent coded messages toward legends like Lil Wayne and Snoop Dogg. He wasn't tearing them down, but he was reminding them, and us, that no one is above accountability when it comes to hip-hop's integrity. And that's the brilliance. While the rap game is only now realizing what Kendrick was saying, he's been playing 10 steps ahead. Every bar on GNX has aged like a prophecy, and the scope of it has grown bigger than anyone expected. This wasn't just about one beef. It was about setting the record straight for an entire generation of rappers and exposing who was real versus who was performing for clout. Now here's where it gets surgical. We also know now that GNX wasn't just gunning for Drake and Puff. Young Thug was in Kendrick's crosshairs too. The proof is in the bars, and when you line them up against Thug's own story about what went down, the pieces fit too perfectly to be coincidence. Kendrick was sending darts straight at him, and most people missed it the first time. Take the track Whacked Out Murals. Fans originally thought that infamous bar about people cackling was aimed at Puff, and at first that made sense. But when Kendrick followed it with, "All of you were on trial," the line suddenly reads differently in hindsight. Knowing what we know now about Thug, that bar feels like it's aimed right at him. A preemptive strike disguised as something else. And here's where the genius really shines. Remember the Gunna line from Euphoria? People brushed it off as casual shade. But looking back, the blurred out section of that bar feels deliberate. Like Kendrick intentionally left the names muffled to cover both Puff and Jeffrey. That's what makes the line art. It's a double shot, one aimed at the industry mogul, the other at the Atlanta star. all while dodging the mess that comes with outright name drops. It's layered, it's risky, and it's masterful. Then you get to Squabble Up. The second half, especially the closing verse, feels like Kendrick unpacking the whole situation in coded language. No, we don't have verification that Kendrick ever heard Thug's infamous phone call, the one where he spiraled about not getting a Kendrick verse. But the way those lyrics line up makes it hard to believe it's a coincidence. Thug was rambling, Kendrick was already documenting, and now the dots connect in ways that can't be ignored. This is what separates him. While everyone else drops messy disses for clout, Kendrick writes in riddles that unravel months later, exposing rivals exactly when they've already buried themselves. When you really break it down, the bars make it crystal clear. This isn't coincidence. Kendrick Lamar either heard that infamous call himself or had the details relayed straight to him, because every line feels like a direct response to Jeffrey's meltdown over not getting a feature. Thug's anger, his hypocrisy, his frustration at Kendrick simply saying no, all of that energy is mirrored in the verses, as if Kendrick had already scripted the fallout before it even went public. And this is where the dominoes start falling. By decoding the verse, it's obvious the blast radius was never limited to Thug alone. The fallout stretches across Drake's entire side of hip-hop, exposing how messy, fragile, and insecure that circle really is. With Young Thug airing out private grievances for the whole world to hear, Kendrick didn't need to lift a finger. He just lined up his words so the dots connected themselves. But Kendrick being Kendrick, he didn't stop there. Listen closely, and you catch shade being thrown at Lil Baby and other affiliates tied to that camp. Maybe there are even more names hidden in those bars that fans haven't unlocked yet, because that's his genius, layering the verses so every replay feels like discovering a new chapter of the story. The definitive takeaway? Kendrick came onto this track with one mission: to expose the fakes. For too long, Drake's camp has tried to run the game by selling wolf tickets, posturing with illusions of dominance while crumbling behind the scenes. Kendrick cut through all of that with surgical precision, delivering bars that silenced the noise and left the so-called kings looking like pawns. That one line alone, that the rap game was run by fakes until he stepped in, hits like a sledgehammer. It doesn't just clap back at rivals, it rewrites the power structure of the culture. From that moment, it became undeniable. Kendrick isn't just part of the conversation, he is the conversation. And here's where it all closes in on Young Thug. Kendrick drops the dagger in the very next lines. After calling out the fakes, he fires off, "Pipe down, Young, these some whole other politics." There's no way to miss it. The word young is a direct shot at Young Thug, a call-out hidden in plain sight, sharp enough to slice but subtle enough to avoid saying his name outright. It's a move only Kendrick could pull. Surgical, deliberate, and loaded with layers. Think about the timing. Thug was already in the middle of serious real-world circumstances when this verse came out. Kendrick clearly didn't want to be seen as kicking a man while he was down, but he also wasn't going to let the hypocrisy slide. So instead, he weaved in lines that read like riddles, calling him out without spelling it out, and now, with everything we've learned since, the picture is painfully clear. Then Kendrick doubles down with one of the coldest sequences of the album. Tell me why you rap if it's fictional. Tell me why you fed if you criminal. These aren't just questions. They're accusations wrapped as philosophy. And then comes the iconic bar. A dot, can I get a drop, followed by his own answer. No. That wasn't just a clever punchline. It was a real-life reference. Young Thug really did reach out for a Kendrick feature on his Business is Business album, and Kendrick flat out turned him down. He put it in the music for the whole world to hear. But here's the kicker. That fed line is layered with double meanings. On one level, it circles back to the Gunna bar, bringing that entire thread full circle. On another, it hints at Young Thug's own messy situation, where whispers of informants, phone taps, and shady politics have circled him for years. And the brilliance? Kendrick's verse makes it sound like he had a crystal ball, predicting how ugly this would all look once the truth unraveled. By the time you sit with it, the mastery becomes undeniable. Kendrick wasn't just calling Thug out as a fake rapper whose entire catalog was built from a place of fiction. He was positioning himself as the one who knew the dirt, the contradictions, and the consequences long before they became public. And now looking back, it feels like Kendrick wasn't just rapping, he was reporting, documenting, and exposing all at once. Honestly, in the bigger picture, it's like Kendrick revealed what the industry already knew but never said out loud. The fan pages only caught up later, but Kendrick had been painting the portrait the entire time. At this point, Kendrick Lamar isn't just making music, he's leading the culture into places nobody thought rap could ever reach. He's kept his name, his sound, and his message stamped onto some of the biggest stages in the world, including the NFL, for the second season in a row. That's not just music success, that's cultural dominance. When you lock in with the NFL, one of the most powerful brands on the planet, it means your influence stretches far beyond hip-hop. And let's be real, nothing screams relevance louder than being tied to the marquee event of the entire year, the Super Bowl. Kendrick's proving something bigger than hits and headlines. He's showing that he isn't just kryptonite to loser rappers, he's the standard. He's the reason so many fakes are exposing themselves and crashing out at record speed. They can't keep up with someone who plays chess while they're still fumbling checkers. But Kendrick is also something deeper. He's the blueprint for where rap can go next, raising the ceiling to heights nobody else has touched. He's not just carrying himself, he's carrying the craft. And when you put this all into perspective, it hits even harder. That infamous Young Thug phone call where he ranted about Kendrick not wanting to work with Wham or Moneybagg Yo, that wasn't arrogance, that was focus. Kendrick wasn't interested in propping up anyone else's brand. He's been locked into building his own identity, on his own terms, at his own pace. And now, looking at the results, you see why. It's that independence and vision that set him apart from the entire industry. At this point, everything lines up so clearly that it's almost comical. These so-called rappers don't hate Kendrick Lamar because of the little narratives they spin, or the excuses they invent, or the hoops they try to jump through to justify their failures. No, the truth is way simpler than that. They can't stand him because he's everything they're not. While they've been fake, lazy, and grifting their way through one of the most important art forms in the world, Kendrick has been locked in, disciplined, and authentic. That's the real sting. Every time they flop, every time they embarrass themselves, Kendrick just keeps stacking wins. And the sight of him winning big while they self-destruct has been driving them absolutely insane. And now, as the dust settles, the truth couldn't be louder. Kendrick Lamar has proven himself untouchable. While his rivals spiral in scandals, courtroom drama, and obsession albums, Kendrick has turned discipline into dominance, stacking trophies and cementing his name next to cultural giants. He isn't just surviving in 2025, he's thriving, rewriting the rule book and leaving the fake side of rap in shambles. The bars from GNX weren't just verses, they were warnings, prophecies that are unfolding right in front of us. Drake exposed himself as obsessed, Young Thug exposed himself as conflicted, and the rest of that camp crumbled while Kendrick only grew bigger, sharper, and stronger. From the NFL stage to Emmy wins, from corporate partnerships to coded disses, he's carried hip-hop into new territory while exposing the frauds trying to drag it down. So here's the bottom line. Kendrick Lamar didn't just win the battle, he claimed the war. He stands as the one rapper who stayed real, stayed focused, and stayed ahead while everyone else collapsed under the weight of their own lies. And if the rumors of a new album are true, it won't just be music. It'll be the ultimate demolition of everything fake still clinging to relevance. Want the full breakdown, the insider details, and the raw truth on moments like this? Stay tapped in with BarzBuzz, because we're bringing you the stories they don't want you to hear.